This is a working aircraft carrier I just built using Crate Mod and Valkyrien skies. It's over 400 blocks long and is fully functional and capable of carrying dozens of working planes and helicopters for the Crate Mod military. It's based off of the real-life Nimitz-class of carriers and currently has a lot of F-14 Tomcats on it. My colony and its citizens have never been safer. If you want to check out this build for yourself, you can find it over on my Patreon along with lots of other Crate Mod builds that I've been doing recently. The Nimitz-class carriers began construction in the 1960s, and all 10 active ships were completed by the early 2000s. At 330 meters, these ships were the largest aircraft carriers in the world until the more recent, slightly larger Gerald R4 successor class was introduced. However, the ship I'm going to be building won't be 1-to-1 scale. It's going to be even bigger. Some of you may already be familiar with how I scale up pretty much all of my small vehicles by 1/3 in order to make them more accurate and player-friendly, whereas 1-to-1 scale is honestly too small. And aircraft carriers carry fighter jets, and since all of my planes are scaled up by 1/3, it only seems natural that I should scale up the aircraft carrier also by 1/3, which means instead of being 330 blocks long, it will be about 430 blocks long. And I even noticed that with this battleship, like running around on this battleship in the game, it felt a little bit smaller than running around it in real life. And I realized that's probably because, well, I didn't scale it up. It's actually a little worse than 1-to-1 scale for Minecraft realism. So with this aircraft carrier, we're gonna make it 1.3-to-1 scale. So I managed to find a side and a top-down view of the ship here that I can use in Photoshop to get some pixel measurements and convert those to block measurements to try to get an outline of the general shape. Now I know this is actually for the Gerald R4 class because of that 78 there, and there's some other things. There's some differences that I've identified. We're going to be ignoring them and just going off of the general shape, which is about the same. So let's calculate some measurements. So I've determined that the scaling for the length proportions of it are 2.57 pixels per block on the top, and then the width is 3.6 pixels per block. So if we want to look at the front here, we line this up with the front as close as we can. 106 pixels. So you divide 106 pixels by 3.6, and so the front of it is supposed to be 30 blocks, and typically we do odd numbers, so we'll probably round that to 20 down to 29. So now I just need to do that process again for every single feature that I need a measurement for. Oh, perfect. Love when that happens. Just discovered, I was just looking, these things are a little different. Just kind of noticing that, so we just calculated it. It happened to go up to 85 right away, so that's nice. We've just reached the 1-to-1 scale. That would be 1-to-1 scale, 1 block to 1 meter. But we got another 100 blocks to go. So this thing is actually going to be comparable to the Venator that I made, the 1/3 scale Venator. So these are all the measurements that are laid out there. And you might notice there is a random line there that is going from 2 points and it's angling. That was made really fast, and I'm about to show you how I can do that. It's really cool, actually. I have a new building tool. Well, it's not really new, but it's new-ish to me. I've been learning it on the side recently, called Axiom, and a lot of you might already be familiar with it, but it has a variety of tools. Everything from painting things to noise painting, biomes, modeling different shapes, building rocks easily, slopes, calculations. It also can do things like paths. If you take a look at this, let's get the path tool out. We can click on that block right there, and we can click over here, and look at that. It just calculates that. Push enter, and we've got that now. And suddenly, we've got a line here at that angle, calculated using some kind of math equation. And this, I think, is going to help a lot with the hull as well, with the hull shape. This should make that a lot easier. So if we take a look at the map now, yeah, now it actually kind of looks like an aircraft carrier. And the top-down view on that, it's pretty good looking. We can definitely put planes on here now, so let's get out the tool gun. I happen to have a Navy fighter already. I have the F-14 at 1.3 to 1 scale. So this is the F-14, and normally on aircraft carriers, they would have been stowed with their wings swept back. So now let's just take a moment to look at how big this plane looks compared to the aircraft carrier. You'll notice it's a pretty good scale. I can confirm that, yeah, we're building it at the proper scale. I actually am going to go switch worlds now, though. Normal worlds are literally too laggy for almost all planes because they're too fast. So we are going ahead with our 430 block long aircraft carrier. The ocean monuments are a little messed up, but we got a pretty empty ocean world. Oh, and we've got a big boat here. I turned this into a physics entity just so that I could demonstrate something and kind of see how it handled. Oh, and if you were wondering, other physics entities do have collision detection just fine with each other. For example, I'm in a plane right now, and I'm sitting on a boat, and I can take off just fine. Perfect landing. All right, we got this back. If we take a look at the reference file, I have added a little bit more to it. So it looks like the entire thing is 40 blocks tall, and that's going off of the scaling that we have up here. And so we got 40 when we calculated this out. Then this came to 5, this came to 21, which leaves 14. If we come around to the front here, we've got 5 blocks of this stuff. Just normal concrete here. This is what we use for the hull. I think it was 21 blocks. 21 blocks, and we'll do that. And then we got 14 blocks here. 14 blocks of draft. Oh, I need to move this up. Drat. I didn't build it high enough. Looking here, you can see that there is a sudden slope up here, and that's usually because there's an actual keel that is narrow and sticks out, and it already kind of started sloping up much further back, which can be deceptive because really this slant needs to just go further back. So I already realized I kind of messed that up by doing it the way I did here. So we're going to change that, and once I've done that, I'm going to try to use the modeling tool, which is a more advanced version, I think, of like the path tool, to try to model an entire hull section, basically. Modeling convex hull. Great. So how are we going? What do we do with this thing? I guess we're going to like start right here. And then we want to click over here. Okay, cool. So that's a 2D shape. And suddenly we have a 3D shape. And so can I just add another point there? So each time I click, we get more points. So we need probably the most points along wherever it's going, like the end points. I'm really not describing this particularly well because I don't know very much how to describe it. We would probably want to move it all the way to the front of this, right? Okay, that's perfect. We know it needs to also go over here, and we know it needs to go up here. This is kind of crazy, guys. Here, let's just spawn it in and take a look at it. What do we think? First time using the modeling tool. Oh, it's actually like not quite perfect here. I didn't see that. But still, look, it's a pretty darn good boat hull. We need to model it a little better over here. I need it to line up more here. So it's like, we're going to put a vertice right there. Okay, cool. Now it's like perfectly lined up with that. So if I do that, hey. And did it generate some kind of, like, oh, is it just solid? Oh. Well, that was surprisingly easy, guys. I fixed it up. I retextured it by using the Axiom replace modifier, where you just hold down right click and it replaces it. It's a toggle thing. See, look, I'm only pushing one button. Kind of insane. The front doesn't really have the same kind of complex shape as the back does, so I'm not going to bother doing anything with it. It's more just I have to fill in my own shape here. If you take a look at this picture here, you can see it's mostly just straight down and then a little curve at the end. Unfortunately, modeling the front section of the hull is more difficult than I expected, simply because the shape of it is this like inverted curving thing here. It's not just a straight line. For example, this just takes it the fastest way there, like continuously. It doesn't have this kind of gradual thing. It's really a hard shape to get. So I don't really know that I'm going to be able to do it other than somewhat by hand, or maybe going a couple blocks at a time with the Bezier curve here, which is what I did with this. So gonna take a little longer than I was hoping, but once we get it, we can just copy it to the other side. And luckily, all the main features on this side are simpler than the side that I've already got the main features done on. Obviously not detailed at all. Sometimes, I don't know, human eyeballing and brain vibe computing is better or required in the absence of knowing how to use the tools properly. I've created quite the effect here, haven't I? From this perspective, it looks like it's solid pretty much. And when you go around here, obviously you can see it's not, and we only have these ribs here. Axiom has a color picker feature where you have these color palettes here, and you can just look through all the different colors, obviously, and it tries to match whatever blocks are closest to that color. So it makes selecting things really easy. You can even add a block and be like, here, look up this color, and then it tries to find other blocks that are close to that color, like, oh, found this block which is close to the color, all these things. I'm working on trying to do maybe some of the deck right now. Obviously, if you take a look at aircraft carriers and the pavement, it's not one solid color. It's all streaked and marked up and scuffed and everything. So having it be multiple blocks is good. You can go to the noise painter, and then over here, we can add the different blocks we want. So let me just do that. So we got these block types here, and you can see it's got this noise pattern, and there's multiple ones we can choose from. We are going to go to the meatball one, and there's all these different sliders here. And so if we were to take the scale and drop the scale down, you can see it turns into basically TV static noise. You can increase the scale and suddenly you get big blobs. So what we're gonna wanna do is somewhere in between. We want some blobs and we want there to be some noisiness amongst these blobs. So we're gonna increase. And so you get this. And we go like, well, we can take a look. Is that any good? And it's not as good as I'd like. This right here, where we've got 40% of the gray concrete, and we got 25% ash sand, 25% sanded deep slate, I think, and then this armor block. That produces a really nice effect here. You can get really fancy with these settings here, and you can get specific shapes, to the extent that we should be able to make a realistic looking stripped and randomized or striped and randomized runway here in the front and angled here. And this is way more complicated than what I at least know how to do with World Edit. Maybe it's possible to do this with World Edit. If it is, I never figured it out. I actually have just finished building this elevator section completely, so I'm just going to copy it over to the other 3 elevators here. And yeah, these elevators are going to be functional at some point. That's going to be kind of easy compared to just building it initially, though. I think this turned out pretty well, by the way, especially doing it like half by hand. So what do we think of the deck now, guys? It's almost done, actually. I've added all of these little lines, the markers, like the painted on markers that would have been here. And I also put the number up there. And I'm using the hull number for the original Nimitz just because that's the main class that we're going off of. So we're doing 68. Also, I will mention that I added these things in a grid pattern to try to look like the fire suppression systems that I noticed on the decks of these things. I mentioned that I was going to try to have a streaked section here on the runway areas using the noise painter, and I still want to try to do that. So we just add this mode, and now we can change individual Y scales. If you look, we can compress it down, or we can stretch it out. We can move it around, and just like that, you've achieved this. And now doesn't that look kind of like a streak pattern? So if we just replace this, okay, that didn't really do what I wanted. I might need to add some other blocks. Also, I feel like this is the different orientation. Given that it's not showing up very well against the other stuff, it means I'm going to actually have to add more block types or different ones. But you can see when you add it onto a new thing, that's what it looks like. So we would want slightly darker colors than what we have here. Unironically, the asphalt block is pretty good for that. Oh yeah. And just like that, it looks like we've got tire marks and streaks on the runways, the landing strips, these areas. So now the actual deck's texture is complete, which means we need the last big feature that we don't have. We need the command bridge control tower area, which goes right in this area pretty much. This right here took an embarrassingly long amount of time to build, but it's done now and it looks good. I'm happy with it. It just needs its interior, which we'll be doing in a part 2 to this video because, well, we obviously don't have time, as with the battleship, to make a full interior in 1 week in addition to the outside. In fact, we are about done with what we're going to be doing on the outside. There's some functional things we're going to do. The first functional feature I want to build is a afterburner shield that gets moved up, that you like raise up behind the plane as it's getting launched down the front. And we're just going to have part of the deck lift up behind the plane right here. And then we're going to have another one over here. And I also saw a third one over in this area. So if I just glue this together, what do we even think that is? Like a 65-degree angle or something? Something like that. It's a little hard to tell. So what we really need, guys, we really need a way to have the airplane be locked in place, just so that you can start the engines and stuff and the afterburners without it moving. Let's say, oh, there were blocks right here and right here, and so even if with the engines on, it can't go anywhere. Oops. I may have hit the wrong button, guys. That was kind of cool, though. might be like the coolest thing ever. So that makes the third launching area, where we've got the little brake things that extend in and out of the ground like that. You can stop the plane, get up to full power before taking off. We got those afterburner shields as well. Really simple to work, which is nice. But now let's make an elevator here. I'm going to use a gantry shaft, most likely. Actually, no, I am not, in fact, going to use a gantry carriage. Could we use an elevator pulley? Will this leave it assembled? Actually, I could probably just use a normal pulley. I don't think I need to use an elevator pulley. That's probably making it more complicated than I need to, even though we were literally making an elevator. I think I've glued this whole thing, but knowing me and knowing how these work, there's probably going to be something that goes drastically wrong when I try to move this, but let's give it a try. So it's going to turn into interactive entity and it's going to remain assembled. Oh, the contraption size is too big. Okay, hang on, let me change that. Still default config. That's what I like to hear. Oh my gosh, that's way too slow. Although this thing probably was really slow in real life. Oh, there we go. We got it. So it's at the right level. So we could bring airplanes up and down now. Let's try that. This thing is currently sat on the elevator. Looks like it's fitting it. Let's make this like 6 again. Let's do this. And it's going to be moving up. And, well, it's kind of bad that it's bouncing. We don't really want it to be bouncing. This is only the second time I've moved a physics entity with another physics entity elevator, and the other ones had treads or wheels, which might have been absorbing the bouncing. Maybe I have to make it really slow. Maybe it literally has to be like 1 RPM. I bet it's to do with the suspension, or the lack thereof, though. And it's not bouncing now. Can I speed it up while going down? Maybe it only bounces on the way up. Okay, but now it's not bouncing. The faster it goes, the more bouncing it does. Oh my goodness. So that might just be we're limited by our wheel technology right now. So we may have some small amount of bouncing on the way up and down. As long as it doesn't leave, we're fine. But that doesn't change the fact that we have a working plane elevator on the aircraft carrier. So there's just one thing left to do right now, which is to go under the ship and give this thing propellers. These aircraft carriers seem to have 4 propellers, and I assume that's a rudder there. We certainly will not be steering it with a rudder, and we're going to be building some pretty substantial propellers here. Oh yeah, look at this huge thing. We are going to have 4 big propellers. Oh boy. Oh boy. Who knows if this is going to have enough power, but we're going to find out here momentarily. We're just going to need to get an analog lever for now. Since it's manual, we can reverse it by doing that. But we can also make it a lot slower. In order to turn the ship, it's going to need a propeller in the front that is perpendicular to the rest of the ship. And since it's such a huge ship, we might even want another one back there facing the other way. We could probably counteract it. You could probably double it in its effectiveness. So we're going to put one of these here. And we are going to make it a huge propeller. This should probably be enough. When it's spinning really fast, we can let that out. You can change the direction, of course. So we're going to hope that's going to work. But we're ready to turn this into an actual ship, a physics entity, and try to move it around, land some planes on it, and throw a lot of planes on the deck and see just how well it works. It looks like it's currently 132,000 blocks total. That's not counting any air. That's the actual ship. So let's get out a ship helm. I've already increased the maximum assemble limit from 60,000. And let's see what's going to happen. Oh, there we go. It's gone through. Never underestimate the ship helm. It doesn't usually let you down. It's never let me down. Well, this is a little bit bad, but it's not this thing's fault. This is now a giant physics entity, the biggest physics entity I've ever made. We just have to do kind of the mundane things to get it somewhat seaworthy. We just need to put a lot of floaters down here in order to get this working. Okay, we're floating pretty much the right way now. But you'll notice right there, it's much lower down in the water there than it is all the way in the front. Oh, good grief, that's hard to look at. So let's take a look at where the center of mass is. The center of mass is right here. We are off to the side, and also we are centered toward the back. It's because, you know, the weight's here. It's a little unbalanced. So what we're going to do is we're going to get some ballast blocks, and I'm going to start putting these down. That's good. That is good. So it's even now. So if I take this ship helm off of here, bad things might happen. So let's see what's going to happen. This thing is what keeps it steady, especially if it's unbalanced or unstable. Now we just tried to balance it, so maybe it's good. No. I think it was still slightly unbalanced in this direction. Now, is this thing gonna capsize, or is it just gonna stay? No, I honestly think it's capsizing. I'm gonna need to get in here. That's kind of impressive considering that the center of mass is only a couple blocks off the center line. So that's no good. We got to put that back. Oh, good grief. Now, we have these magic ballast blocks, which I discovered partway through doing the battleship. And these things are kind of like a weaker version of this. It just exerts an upright force on the ship once you have it. So we're just going to put like 3 there. And now if I delete this, we should not roll anymore. We might have listed like 3 degrees or something. I don't know. We might have listed like a tiny bit, but we're no longer going to be capsizing. The Lion does not concern himself with 3 degrees of list. Might as well make this as obvious as possible. Oh, I think we might already be moving. Let me up. Oh, yeah, we're moving. We are moving. Wow, this thing is way stronger than I thought. I mean, yeah, we have 4 propellers, but I expected this to be not at all fast. Yeah, we're moving. Okay, well, that definitely works. We're flirting with unloaded chunks here. The steering is all the way in the front of the ship. Let's go see if that's gonna work or not now. It is working. It is working. I think best results for steering, though, would definitely happen if we had another propeller at the back and you had them inverted, so they each spun in a different direction, which would try to spin it on like a point in the center. Because when you have it like this, a lot of the energy gets diverted into dragging it physically to the right in this case. Like, yes, it is turning. But come on, would you expect an aircraft carrier to be able to turn on a dime? No. But I think we could probably do a little bit better. But the last thing I want to do today is I want to spawn in a bunch more planes. We're going to load the deck up with as many planes as we can. And I'm going to throw on some shaders, and it's going to get really cool. I just got done taking thumbnail pictures, which is why I've got so many planes here. And they're even kind of posed, which kind of looks insane, not going to lie. But I'm sure you're wondering if you can move these things around on a physics entity, like that one over there. Well, we're going to go find out. I'm going to move these over there and go test it out. Okay, propellers are on. We should be moving. You can see that we are moving. However, it is a little bad because I think it's got so many other physics entities on it that it's trying to move at the same time. It's not bouncing the physics entities at all, so that's good. But, no, we're moving now. But it's not amazing just because that's what happens when you start having multiple physics entities interacting with each other in the hitboxes. You kind of saw that with the elevators, but it does work. I want to take off and I want to land my plane on here, on the moving ship. Let's get this off the runway. Although there's a chance that these planes are going to be like slowed down for the physics entities may be slowed because of all the movement. Oh, come on. I think there's too many physics entities, guys. Interesting, when the game is calculating a lot of physics entity collisions, as in when it's moving, all of them become slowed down a lot. Like right now it's moving and it's doing a lot of work. But if you were suddenly to set it to static, look at suddenly you speed right up and then you're like, oh, we can move again. So it's actually really not practical to be moving physics entities around on another giant physics entity. I mean, look, does any of this look, I don't know, Minecraft practical? So it's not really the point, but it's just something to keep in mind. By the way, we just had a pretty good landing right there. And I didn't even really mean to do that. Well, this has been one of the craziest videos to make in a while. As you can see, we've fully pushed the limits of Minecraft to, I don't know, like how much farther can you go? I guess, well, I can think of a few things. Regardless, I've got a giant aircraft carrier and all these planes and all of it's working. If you want to check it out for yourself, you can find it over on my Patreon down in the description. I'll be updating it, of course, once we got the interior, which we may be doing next time or very soon. And also, we'll be doing some stuff out here, like adding, I don't know, close-in weapon systems that I've already designed that should fit on here, but I digress. That is for next time. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to drop a like and hit that subscribe button down below. But I've been Sbeev. Thanks for watching. Hope you have a good rest of your day. And I'll see you guys next time.